Boker Tov, Masechet Pesahim, Amoud Yomi, Dirshu. We're so thankful for Dirshu. Mamash, this is unbelievable. One time we have to send a thank you to the founder of Dirshu. I'm telling you, we have to send him a present or something to thank him for starting this organization. It's wonderful. We're in Dirshu, Masechet Pesahim, Nun Bet, Amoud Bet. We're at the bottom of the page. And we said over here that the Rabbi Eli, he did something which seemingly is not allowed. Because don't forget, morning Rabbi Yonatan, just starting. Nun Bet Amoud Bet at the bottom of the page. Rabbi Eli. Rabbi Eli was a Tana. That what did he do? That he went ahead and he cut down certain trees, and the trees had little budding dates, little budding dates. And the Gemara is asking how he could do that because it seemingly he prevent. It was dates. It was dates. Later we're talking about this. It's the Gemara seemingly how could you do that? Because it seems to me, I'm not sure if he threw them out or if he stunted their growth. It seems to me like he stunted their growth. He ruined them. Or maybe he ruined them from becoming a field for maturity, and therefore you're ruining the thing. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to use something for your benefit, cutting for their wood, if you're going to ruin the food. The shvit food is only meant for eating. It's only meant for going out and taking something which is hefkin and eating it. So the Gemara asked, how could he do that? So the Gemara wanted to bring in Machloket Rabbi Yossi and Chachamim at the bottom of the page, that when it comes to a smadar, smadar is the first budding of a grape. You have a little bit of a vineyard, there are leaves over there, the leaf falls off, and the bud starts. The bud eventually develops into what's called boser. It's a little bit of a small grape. It's not ripe at all yet. And then you have the full, juicy, ripened grape. So what did he? So the Gemara says, yes, Rabbi Yossi says that the smadar is asur. You can't ruin it because it's still considered a fruit. But Chachamim don't say the smadar is still considered a fruit. So therefore, you see that according to Chachamim, what the Gemara is proposing is that non-ripened fruits are not considered forbidden when it comes to ruining things on Shemitah. They're not fruits. A real fruit is a full banana, a full apple, a full grape, a full pomegranate, a full date. But a little budding one, yes, there is Shitat Rabbi Natan, but Rabbi Eli does Shitat Rabbi Yossi, but we don't go Rabbi Yossi, we go to Chachamim. But the Gemara doesn't like that. Bottom of the page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines down, second word. Matkif la Rav Shimi, Menarda. Rav Shimi challenged, I'm going to prove to you that Rabbi Yossi also only holds that the budding grape, that smadar, that little flowery grape over there, that little bud over there, that's not a fruit. But the other fruits from the get-go are forbidden. So don't tell me that Rabbi Eli is subscribing to opinion of Chachamim that permits. They don't permit. How do we know? Ditnan. When are you not allowed to start cutting down trees? Because if the tree already stands fruits, you can't cut it down. So Bet Shamayim, every single tree that the moment that it starts to putting out a little bit of fruit. Once there's a fruit there, that's it. The beginning bud, the first little hint of a fruit is forbidden. So you have carob. Carob is a fruit only when it starts to look like a little chain. It's a little bit of the beginning of a fruit of the carob. It comes rigyun. We can see later that it means it's just the same as what we said over there, that it's called boser. So the grape is only going to be asur when it's a boser. It's not what we saw before, smadar. It's going to be yigreu, which is called a boser. It's a little tiny grape the size of a lentil, we're going to see in a second. Vazetim misheyin natsu. So the olive has a little bit of a protection that comes out of it. A little bit, it's not the full olive, but there's a little protection of the olive that's going to protect the olive while its growth process. That's already forbidden. That's considered a fruit as well. Shakin anot mishiyotziu. All the other fruits, when it starts to bud a little bit. Mamarabasi hu boser hu girua. So boser, when we said over here in the Mishnah, it's the same as girua. But when we said girua, it's the same as a boser. So it's bigger than, and how big is it? Hu pula laban. It's a little, I think punis there is a lentil. What does it say?
White bean.
A white bean. A little white bean. The Gemara says pula laban. We're talking about grapes. It's not a white bean. And a ema shiuro ki pula laban. We say girua is boser is a bean. No, it's not a bean. We're talking about grapes. So girua and boser is the same thing. Interchangeable words for the same thing. But the size of it is the pula laban. It's the size of a little bean. And Oman Shamadnes, what do we see over here? We have an opinion that says that the grape is only asur at the size of a boser, a little tiny grape, and not the smada, which is the beginning of the bud. So we see there's opinion. That opinion is Chachamim. And they also say in all the other fruits, it's at the get-go, including the dates. So you see, date, according to Chachamim, is asur from the get-go. So how did Rabbi Eli cut down these dates? Uman Shamad, the Gemara says, Damar boser, in smadar lo Rabbanan. The katan ishar inanod mishiotziu. Ella. So we have to answer Rabbi Yalai. Bedenistache ketz. He cut down nistache, not a regular type of date, a special type of date, which is a male date. There are female dates. It's the good, juicy, plump dates that you get in the store. It's called the female date. It grows fully. And there's another small little male date that it doesn't come to the market. What they do is they grow only this big. That's it, full growth. What they do is they take them non-ripened, they put them in a little basket, and in the basket they become a little bit sweet, a little bit ripened, and so therefore he cut it down. He didn't ruin them. He cut them down when it's already fully grown. It's not that he cut down a small. Yeah, he cut down a small date, but it's a date that's reaches capacity. If it would be a date that's going to reach a little bit bigger, it wouldn't be usher to do it. But he cut down the tree when the date was already full capacity. He put them to mibashen, so you see that it's not a problem what he did. The Gemara says, Tanu Raman, Ochnin banabim ad shikalu daliyot shel ochel. Okay, so what did we say before? Like we said in Galacham, we said in Yuda and in Galil and in Ever Yadan, you're allowed to eat the fruits that you stored in your house from the Shvit, so long as there's something available for the community to go take. So long as people could go out and take enough. And yesterday somebody asked a question, how big does it have to be? I said even one amount. It's not one amount. We're going to see over here it's a certain amount, like 6 eggs. There needs to be a certain amount. You have in your house a big storage. You went out, you took grapes from Jerusalem. Wow, there's grapes over here, Shvi, let's stock up. I like wine, we're going to make wine. No problem, you can do that until there's no more grapes. So you stocked up too much. Now there's an announcement, there's no more grapes in the field. Whoever has grapes has to go bring them out. So that's the...
How much do you have to bring out?
You have to bring out everything.
Oh my God.
To bring back everything you took.
You have to bring everything. Now you can take again. So long as there's a little bit there to take.
Everyone has to come back and bring back.
Yeah, bring it back. It's not for you anymore. It's for everybody. So now it's free for all. Whoever wants can take it. Come on, this is the community stuff. It's not your stuff. You can't. The guy comes to.
And you have to have a minimum of like 6 eggs, let's say, to bring it back.
The minimum, meaning you have to bring back when there's nothing left to get in the field. So what if the guy could get 1 grape in the field? You still have to bring back. When do you not? At which point do you still not have to bring back? When a guy could still get 6 eggs worth. We're gonna see.
Okay.
When a guy
when
a guy could still pick up 6 eggs worth, it means there's still something. But if you can get only 1 grape, you got to bring back what you have in your house. So that's what we said in general. But here we're giving a little bit, a little estimations of where it was. So there's certain places where there was a lot of grapes. So how will you know if that place is no more grapes? So we can assume nowhere else there's grapes. You know that is the place where all the grapes were. So that's what it says over here. Tonight, and we're going to see for all the fruits. The Gemara says, let's read it again. Tanu Rabbanan, Ochnin banavim ad shikalu daliyot, which is really the vineyard, shel ochen, shel ukan. It's a place. So the place called Ukan, that place had a lot of grapes. When there's no more grapes over there, that means you can assume there's no more grapes anywhere. Bring out your grapes. When that place is empty, you got to bring it out. Im yesh miucharot men ochnin anen. So it's not etched in stone. It means if there's somewhere else that still has grapes for whatever reason, this is the main center. But for whatever reason, that little community, that little vineyard still has grapes. You don't have to take out. We're just giving you a general rule. So if there's a place that still has grapes, just in general, the place of Ukan is the one that has all the grapes. Bezetim ad shikere aharon shebetakua. The city of Takua had grapes. And Rashi says something unbelievable over here. You got to read this Rashi. It stuck out to me because Rav Kenin always does this. Look what it says. Takua makom zetim, says Rashi. Nan menachot. Takua alfa nishman. It's called alfa. Umitoch shashemen matsui sham. Urigilin bo. People eat a lot of oil over there. Mitsuyin chachamin bahen. People are smarter. Rabbeinu brings it in a few places. Oil is like the lamp of you have a oil for a candle. Your mind works on oil. Oil is very good for the brain.
Olive oil?
Olive oil. Rav Kening, he told me, everything he eats, it's oil on top. Always. Whenever he comes to any house, you got to have 2 things. You got to have olive oil and you got to have pomegranate juice. That's what he has. Now, pomegranate juice, healthy. And olive oil on everything. Olive oil on fruits. On everything. And a lot. And I said, Rav, you have a lot of olive oil. Because it's very good for the body, very good for the system. You know how healthy is the Rav? The Rav is probably 75 plus. He's more in shape than all of us. He's up and downstairs. He's dancing on Simchat Torah. It's not normal. And he's very healthy. And he told me every day, if you can drink a little shot of oil every day, it's very good for the body. I used to do it. And now,
you do a bracha.
No. But if you put on the food, get used to having good olive oil and put it on the food. It's very, very healthy for the system, and especially, says Rashi, for the mind.
You don't have to say that to Moroccan houses.
I don't know if it's in the food or on top of the food. It's not that it's cooked in oil.
No.
It's
everywhere.
I heard a Rav say
it's everywhere.
having olive oil helps improve the memory But eating too many olives helps complete.
Well, that the Gemara says.
Right.
The Gemara says olives without olive oil on top is not good for the memory. It makes you forget.
Yeah.
So this is very important. Whenever you eat olives, make sure you put olive oil on top of the olives. If you eat olives with no olive oil, that's why I come to Kiddush. I don't eat them because there's no olive oil on top. If you eat the olives without olive oil on top, it's not good for the memory. So put olive oil on top. Yes, that's what the Chazal said.
It's weird how the conclusion of what you said is that it's not healthy to drink olive oil.
Oh, a lot, maybe a lot.
lot.
The Rab told me a small amount of oil every day. It's actually very good. So that's what the Gemara is saying over here. So that was Derech Hagav. But in that place of Takua, that's why they're smart people, because they have olives. And if there's no more olives in Takua, so all the olives you took in your house, you got to get rid of them. That's what the Gemara says.
Since they use the olive oil from there to make the mincha offerings too.
Wow, amazing. Very nice. Okay. Rabbi Eliezer Omer ad shikaleh haron shel gush chalav. There was another place on olives. It's called gush chalav. There, if there's no more olives over there. Kedei she'ani yotze ve'enu motzi lo benofo ve'lo bikaro rova. So you see so when do you have to stop? When the guy's going to come, the poor guy's going to come out, and he's not going to find a rova. A rova. There, what does it say? How many eggs is it? 6 eggs. If you can't get a rova, you got to bring it back. If you can still get a rova, you can keep on
6 eggs.
6 eggs. The size of 6 eggs, the
6
volume
to 21 fluid ounces.
Very nice. So 6 eggs is a good way of remembering. Ochrin. Ochrin b'gorogot. What about a fig? What about the fig? Ad shikaru pagi bet ha'eni. There was a place called Pagi Betine, and they had figs over there. And Pagi Betine, there's no more figs, you got to get rid of figs. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, lo iskul Pagi Betine, that's a mistake. Pagi Betine, yes, there was a teaching that has to do with figs, but it has nothing to do with shvit. It has to do with maaser. Elaninyan maaser. Pagi Betine ve'ahine de tuvina, and there are certain dates of a place called tuvina, hayvin mi maaser. And you got to give maaser on those things. In other words, they weren't good quality. So you might have thought you don't have to give maaser on good quality. They're not such good quality. You still got to give maaser on those things. Has nothing to do with the place that has the most
stunted figs.
Stunted figs. You still got to give maaser, but that's not a place where you're going to know the barometer, if it's going to be the measure to know if you have to get your figs out or not. So we said even yesterday, in the city of Tzoar, that's the place where they had the dates, and if there's no more there, you got to get rid of them. Rashba gomer ochrin asher ben akifin then ochrin ad ben hashitzin. So remember, you spoke yesterday that the dates, when they can fall into 2 places. One is the branches, you can still get them, or they can fall into the thorns at the bottom. Even in the thorns, there's a lot of dates on the thorns, it doesn't count. Nobody's going to go and get those. It's too prickly, too dangerous. Nobody's going to take them. If you have in your house, you got to get rid of them. The Gemara says urimineu. Ochrin banabin. So these are all the measures. But the Gemara says problem. Ochrin banabin ada Pesach. We have a bride that says usually you got to eat dates. Usually it ends. You eat until Pesach the grapes, and usually by Pesach there's no more grapes. Because I guess it depends when the season is, when it's sprouting. Everything is different, right? There's certain season for dates, certain season for grapes. Olives until Shavuot. Bigrogrot. When it comes to figs, ad Chanukah. Bitmarim ad Purim. When it comes to dates, until Purim. V'amar Bibi, Rabbi Yochanan tarti v'atra u'machlif. So Rabbi Yochanan would switch the last 2. We said that it's the dates until Purim. Actually, it's the dates until Chanukah, and we said that the figs until Chanukah. It's the opposite. So the figs until Purim. But the Gemara says aide, so we have a problem still, because we're saying over here it's when this city has no more fruit, grapes. And we said, now you're telling me until Pesach or Shavuot or whatever it is. So what is it? Is it until the city has, or it's until Shavuot? The Gemara says, really, it's one shoe. We're telling you in general, really goes with the city. But in general, you should know, you're not next to the city. There's no email. There's no WhatsApp. So how do you know if there's no more grapes in that city when you're living on the other side of the region? So usually by Pesach or by Chanukah or by all the subsequent dates, that's when usually everything is expired. Okay? The Gemara says, it's not a kusha, because the same Braita said that if there's nothing left in that place, you stop eating. But if there is a place that still has, you still eat. So really, the main thing is we go with the city. But it happens to be that if there could be somewhere else, usually until Pesach, until Shavuot, you're still allowed to eat. Basically, we know the halakha. When there's nothing left available, halakha l'maaseh, you're allowed to eat whatever's in your house until there's nothing left available in your region. And what is the minimum that a poor guy is going to go there and take home that you still can keep what's in your house? 6 eggs worth. If there's not 6 eggs worth left for the guy, you got to bring out everything and put it back. The Gemara continues. Tanya, Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Siman Na'arim Milam. You want to know what a mountain it is? It has a certain tree called Milim. What kind of tree is it there? Does it say what kind of tree it is? I think it's a gallnut tree. It's gallnut. Meaning is gallnut? I think it's a certain type of tree. A mountain has gallnut trees. Lamakim, what is a valley? Dekalim. A valley has palm trees. Siman Nechanim, what is a place that has a river, a stream? That is kanim. You have to have bamboos over there, reeds over there. Siman Shefela. Shefela is like just a plain, like a straight, like a flat land. That is called shikma. Shikma is a tree that gives up no fruits. So these are simanim for what each region is. What do we care? What does that mean? We have a proof for this, a hint in the pasuk. It was so much wealth in the time of Shlomo Melech that gold was like rocks. There was so much money, it was like picking up a rock in the street. There was such an abundance of money in Yerushalayim. That's what's going to be Mashiach. It's going to come. There's going to be so much, and since we're close to the Yemot Mashiach, because we're close to Rabbeinu, we should have that. Amen. Amen. Veta Arazim, that tzaddikim would be mamshich yeshua in the Torah. So whenever you get to a place in Torah where it's doresh something good, it's good to take a bracha from that. Amen. Because the Yeshua comes from the Torah. So if we learned now about having shefa, so it's good to maskil that the people learning it should have shefa. You understand? Amen. Kavanim. So the Kesef Yerushalayim kavanim. V'tarazim natan keshekamim. And he put certain types of trees. You're with me? Last? We're Nun Gimel Amoud Aleph. We are on the big lines. We're on the 5th big line. Vetarazim, so these trees which are Erez tree, what is it? Erez? It's a cedar. Kishekamim. There was so many cedar trees in Jerusalem. It's good for his boy Dedus. So it's like the amount of shekamim trees in the Shefela, in a regular place. So you see that Shefela has those trees which is called shekamim. What does it mean all this? Lerov. Siman Ne'arim meaning Siman Nakim Dekanim Nafkamina. What do we care? What does it make a difference if a mountain has milin trees, if a valley has date trees? Nafkamina le bikurim. It has to do with bikurim. Detanan en mivin bikurim elam shivat haminin. You got to bring bikurim from only the 7 species. Okay, you don't bring bikurim on an orange. When the Torah praises Eretz Yisrael for certain items, which is wheat, which is pomegranate, which is a date, which is a fig, which is a olive, which is a grape, all those things, that's what you bring. The choicest fruits. Now guess what? Not only the choicest fruits, from the choicest place. So if you have a non-ripened, not like a shvach fig, or like a very immature, Shvach means weak. Huh?
I never heard this question.
Shvach means weak. Well, you got to know this because we're going to Yarkikana soon. Guys, we're going soon to Jerusalem for Yarkikana, so you got to have this. I'll just put a pause. Yarkikana is in February.
What date?
The 19th of February, if I'm not mistaken. 19th? Or the 10th, could be the 10th. It is an experience you're not missing. Chaim, you're coming. God, you're coming. We're going for 1 week. You're bringing your wife. They have for women also. Oh, yeah? You're going to Jerusalem. We're going to prepare the sugya for 1 month. It's in depth because right now we're doing Bikiyut. It's amazing. But we want to get also something, the juice out of the sugya. You're going to prepare it for 1 month. You're going to go there. Number 1 accommodations. You're you're in the hotel. They bring all the Gedolei Ador, Kipshuto, to say shur on what you learned. You're going to see the Gedolei Israel. You'll never have this opportunity. Even if you go to a great yeshiva, there's one great yeshiva, there's one great... Here you're seeing them all. Rab Biderman, Rab Ben Mitch, all the Mashpim, Rab Yaakov Ilen, all the Gedolei Israel, they're all there. And you have access to this. Plus we added, when we went last time, we added the Shabbat in the old city by David HaMelech. And Breslev every morning at the Kotel, Vidbodedut, Sifrei Rabbeinu, Netz at the Kotel. It is Gan Eden of Avodat Hashem. Plus you tap into Jerusalem. You tap into Jerusalem. It is a Sunday to Thursday program. So you can do a Shabbat before or Shabbat after. Some people can do 2 Shabbats.
What day?
What's the cost?
It's not so bad. It's not so bad. It's reasonable, and the hotel is reasonable. And you don't, huh? It's going to cost you a few thousand, maybe, I can't remember, $500 for the program maybe, and then book your hotel. And they give you food in the program. It's like
Wow.
yeah, it's not so much. Maybe 1,000.
Separately from the hotel.
Yeah, so if you have where to sleep, I sleep with my in-laws. We went 2 years ago with Itzik, with Dr. Goldfarb, with Abraham Mann. It was Gan Eden. Plus, there's a lot of people from Kotz Mugh that go. I promise you, Lakewood is not bad. Lakewood is good. This is not. This is the Uman of the it's Ramish. So I'm just putting in your mind that we have to go. Why am I telling you that? What do I have to do with the Gemara? I'm not sure. Bikurim. Bikurim comes from the great. Huh? How did I get here?
And we have to know all
the word.
the terms.
Shvach. So they're going to be using a lot of Ashkenaz words. So I'm going to start to use the Ashkenaz words on it. So shvach means weak. It means, but weak doesn't. Shvach, like a shvach grape. So it's a nebach grapes and misken. It's that grape misken. Okay. Nebach means misken. Nebach means misken. Okay.
Now we understand.
What is nebach?
Make a church for them.
Yeah, we're gonna put a Moroccan equivalent, okay? So you have so you can't bring a shvacha grape to for bikurim. So that's why you need to know where the grape comes from. So the mountain has those trees, and the amakim has a dates. If you bring a date from the mountain, it's not a good date. It needs to be more water. But if you bring wheat from the valley, it's not good because it gets too soggy, it becomes rotten. You gotta have wheat in a high place, it has to be dry. So it depends what type of thing you bring. אלא ולא מדקלים שבערים ולא מפירות שבעמקים. סימן לנחלים קנים. למה נפקא מינה? What does it have to do if you tell you that a nachal has reeds? What does it have to do? What do we need that for? You know that there's a case where there's a dead person, a body found, and we don't know what happened. So there's a whole archa over there. There's a whole ceremony where the rabbis of the closest city need to go to a certain nachal over there, a certain river, a little stream, and the stream, that's where you have to do the whole tekes with the whole ceremony with the egel, which is the little cow, and you got to club it, etc. So therefore, it has to be in a next to a stream. What's a stream? It has to have reeds. If there's no reeds, it's not called a stream. Siman shifera shikma. So now what does it have to do with a plain, like a flat ground that has certain trees called shikma trees, which don't give up roots? What do you need to know that for? For business. If I said, God, I'm buying from you a plain. Okay, I'm selling you a plain over here. Like a plain is like a flat land. And I come there, it doesn't have those trees. No, you didn't send me a plain. You sent me a rocky mountain. I don't need a mountain. It's not a mountain. It's mostly straight. There's no trees over here. I need a flat land, so it has to have those trees. The Gemara says, since the last one we spoke that has to do with business and acquisitions, so we can even say the other ones. If I bought a mountain, if I tell you I'm buying from a mountain, if it has date trees, that's not a mountain. So we gave simanim for everything, but now that we said about business, all the other ones could also be for the purpose of business. The Gemara continues. If in Eretz Yisrael where they sell small animals, a little sheep, you can sell a sheep. But if you go to a place where they don't sell to goyim small animals, you're not allowed to sell. But you're not allowed to sell a bull, or you're not allowed to sell big animals, or hamor. You can't sell a donkey. Hamor, agalim, sayachin. You can't sell even when they're small. Sayachin is like a weaker animal. Shlemim ushurim. You can't sell them whether they're healthy. You can't sell them whether they're broken. What does that have to do with anything? Zerad derabanan. Is there any problem for me to sell you a bull? Is there any problem for me to sell you a hamor? There's absolutely no problem whatsoever. Why is there a sur derabanan in Eretz Yisrael to sell a hamor? You know why? So if I sell it to you, I might rent it to you. If I have a business where I sell, then you're going to rent also. I sell a tractor, I rent a tractor. You sell a hamor, you rent a hamor. What's the problem with renting hamor? The halakha is Shabbat. On Shabbat, you are mitzuban shvita, and also your animals. I say, yeah, my horse is plowing over there. My horse is plowing, so there's no problem. And by the way, renting might be okay, but really, when it comes to lending, so I might lend you my hamor as well. If I lend you my hamor, if I lend you my donkey, if I lend you my thing, you're going to start working with it. It's asur. Now, what about when the animal's still in a weak state? Well, if it's in a weak state, I'm going to lend you a weak one. I'm going to sell you a weak one. Then I'll lend you a weak one. If I lend you a weak one, maybe somebody's going to think he can sell the strong one because it's the same species. It's a weak donkey, but maybe it's going to be a strong donkey. What about if it's sick? So if it's sick also, okay, I sold you a sick animal, but maybe I'm going to sell you I'm going to lend you a strong animal. So all this is Gzerat de Rabbanan. Since there's Gzerat de Rabbanan on strong animals that work, that plow, for example, so therefore some places also have the minhag of not selling a small animal. Because we don't want to, once you start selling animals, then you're going to not differentiate between a big one and a small one. So you got to follow the minhag mikam. Bottom line is that in Eretz Yisrael, you can't sell larger animals because you might rent them and lend them. And when it comes to small animals, you can sell them minadin, but some places are machmir, so therefore you come to that place, don't start fooling around with the minhag. And the Gemara says, Rabbi Yehuda matir b'shivura. But Rabbi Yehuda permits a sick animal. And the reason is because you don't sell a sick animal. You never sell a sick animal because if you sell a sick animal, you don't rent a sick animal. Why not? Because it's going to die and you're going to lose that money. You shecht it. So if the animal's a little bit weak, you want to shecht it before it dies. Because if it dies, you can't eat it. So you shecht it, you slaughter it beforehand.
Isn't it also that you might blame the guy you rented it to that he killed your animal, you overworked him or something?
I hear that idea. Rashi says, like I said, but usually when if I'm buying for you, if I'm renting for you a broken car and it breaks, you know it was broken, buddy. Don't say that I broke your car, right? The Gemara says, Ben B'Tera matir b'sus, and Ben B'Tera allows a horse because a horse doesn't do melacha. A donkey plows, a bull plows, a horse you ride on a horse, and it's true that still I can't ride on a horse on Shabbat, but that's Gzerat de Rabbanan. Do you know that? There's no Isser to ride a horse. The Isser is if you ride a horse, you're going to hit the horse. And it's going too slow. But if you want to hit the horse, you don't want to use your hand. What do you take? A branch. If you take a branch, you're going to break off a branch. So that's the Isur de Rabbanan of riding a horse, because you might hit the horse with a branch. So therefore, I don't need to do Gzerat de Gzerat. Don't sell a horse, because you might rent a horse, and if you might lend a horse, and if you lend a horse, so what? It's only de Rabbanan. So I don't need to do a de Rabbanan on the de Rabbanan. That's what the Gemara says. Makom shenagu lichod sli b'Pesachim ochlim. So now, are you allowed to eat roasted meat on Pesach in your house? If you're in a place where you eat it, yeah. If you're in a place where they don't eat sli on Pesach, don't eat it. What's the problem in sli? It looks like kochim. The korban Pesach was roasted, right? So you're going to start eating a roasted lamb, you're in big trouble because you're eating korban Pesach. So it's not asur. It's not asur. This is not korban Pesach. This is a roasted chicken. This is a roasted cow. This is I'm not eating a korban Pesach. I eat my korban Pesach. But there's places where the machmir. By the way, we're machmir, especially on the night. On the nighttime, we don't eat it at the seder. So we don't need a roasted lamb. We don't need roasted meat even. Many people don't eat roasted meat. So therefore, but if you're in a place where then the minhag is not to, so people don't. If you're in a place where the minhag is, you do. The Gemara says, Amar Yehuda Amar Asur lo adam shemar basar ze Pesach. If you're going to the store, this is really halakha masin. It's very serious. If you're going to IGA, you're going to the butcher, and you're going to buy some meat, and you're going to say, Mikael, this meat is for Pesach. Yeah. What does it look like you just did? You're not allowed to. It looks like you just said this is a korban. Do you know that if you give something to Beit Mikdash, even today it's owned by the Beit Mikdash? It's owned by the Beit Mikdash. Don't never say this is the owned by the Beit Mikdash. So if you're bringing a korban, this is a korban Pesach you just said. It looks like you gave it, that's not your intention. Your intention is for your meal. But it looks like you gave a korban Pesach, and now it looks like you're eating korban Pesach. By the way, it's machlok in the poskim. What do you do? Some say you got to throw it in the garbage. Some say you're allowed to eat b'diavad because we know your kavanah. So b'diavad we can somech, but important. So you know when you go to the store, by the way, it's very important when you go to the store and buy food for Shabbos, it brings all the kedusha and the food which makes you kadosh, is they say l'chvod Shabbat Kodesh. So you don't say l'chvod Pesach. They say l'chvod Yom Tov. The kavod Yom Tov, the kvod Pesach. So it brings the kedusha. Say it for Shabbat. Say it. It's very important. Pesach, be careful. Mara papa daf kabasar. Barchite lo. So the real problem is saying this meat is for Pesach, but for wheat, this wheat is for Pesach. It doesn't look like you're saying this wheat will own for the Beit Mikdash, and I'm going to sell it, get the money, and buy korban Pesach. You know, if you have wheat in your backyard, or you're a farmer, this wheat is for Pesach. It means the mintar the pisra kama. It means that you're just saving it to make matzahs. It doesn't mean that you're going to give this for korban pesach. You know you can do that, right? This will be my korban pesach. How do you do that? You take the item. The item is worth money. You sell the item, and the money you buy the korban pesach. That's you're not allowed to do.
Comparing it to the
Huh? Exactly right. So therefore, wheat is okay. Korban pesach. Let's do a little more. Meitiv, it's very very quick. Meiti ubasar lo. What you're telling me I'm allowed to say meat is for Pesach? I'll prove to you that you are allowed to. Amar Rabbi Yossi tudus ish romi. There was a man called There was a man called Tudus Ishromi, a very important person. He lived in Rome. I mean, there was even Tanaim that lived in Rome. Can you imagine?
He wrote everything he saw, no?
Could be something like that. But we had a Tana that lived in Rome. There was Tanaim that went to Rome. It's very interesting. They would eat on the night of Pesach roasted lamb, mamash like the mikulas. Mikulasin is like, hanging on the spit over there. What's it called?
Yes. Spit.
The spit is hanging on the spit, and they're roasting it, mamish like the Korban Pesach. That's what he was doing in Rome. Shalchune, so they wrote it. Rav Yossi sent him. They wrote him a letter. They sent him a messenger. Ilma de tudus ata. If you weren't such a great person, gazranu anecha nidu. He would put you in excommunication. Shatam achilet Yisrael kodshim bechutz. Because you're making them eat korbanot outside of Beit Hamikdash. You want to say kodshim? Sal gadatra. We're in kodshim. Ela ema karov lachil kodshim. Yisrael kodshim. We're not eating kodshim. It looks like you're eating kodshim. But either way, bachutz. Makom mikulasim, shen mikulas no. So what do you see? They were upset with him because he's eating a roasted. What do we say? You can't eat a roasted, right? You can't say kol manzil bet. He's eating it roasted like the Beit Hamikdash, on the spit and everything. So you see that's the problem. It's not a problem to say this is for Pesach. If I say this lamb is for Pesach, it doesn't look like I'm eating Korban Pesach. It looks like I'm eating Korban Pesach if you put it on the spit and you actually roast it like it was in the Korban Pesach. But if I say this for Pesach and I'm going to cook it in water, leave me alone. That's not the Korban Pesach. Korban Pesach was roasted. So if I say I'm going to buy this lamb, it's for Pesach, and I'm going to cook it in water, I'm going to boil it, leave me alone. Why are you telling me that's asur? You see over here that they were only upset with him because it was on his spit. So the Gemara answers, lo. Amre mikulas lo shna amar, lo shna no amar. No, that's not true. Mikulas is asur whether you said it's for Pesach, not for Pesach. You can't eat a roasted on a spit lamb.
With the entrails alongside it says.
What's the entrails?
I guess
Yeah, everything. That's the way they would do it.
Yeah.
They would everything. The whole stomach is there. Everything's roasted. Everything's roasted. The whole thing is going on a spit. Okay. Now that's asur because that's exactly like it was in the Beit Hamikdash. That's asur even if you don't say it's for Pesach. You can't eat it. I'm not. This time I call my Pesach. This is my meal. My Shulchan Aruch. Doesn't matter. Too close circumference. However, Amar she. לא שנה אמר, לא שנה לא אמר. אינו מיקולס, פירש אין, לא פירש לא. So if now it's not mikulas, it's not roasted on a spit, depends. Did you say it's for Pesach? It's a soup. If you didn't say it for Pesach, it's mutam. Therefore you can eat lamb. You eat lamb on Pesach, right? You eat lamb which is roasted in water. So therefore, as long as you didn't say it's for Pesach, you're okay. Say it's for Yom Tov. The kavod Yom Tov. Don't say Pesach. But if it's roasted, you can eat it in all circumstances. Chazak u Likutei Moharan.